Hey folks, Eric from Another Voice with Eric and Friends, bringing you another one of our 2016 Candidate Spotlight series. Today the spotlight is shining on the South Carolina House of Representatives, District 25, and I have with me the challenger for that race, Tony Boyce. Welcome.
Good morning, how are you?
Doing great. Glad to have you here. Let's start with something that I think every voter thinks about when they see someone running for office. Why are you running for office?
I want to make a difference in District 25. We have a lot of challenges from education to economics to just the overall look of the district, and I want to be the representative that helps bring a change to that, something that's visible, impact that is real, and I've done that in the community where my church where I serve and throughout Greenville County, but I want to specifically make an impact in District 25.
Sounds good. One thing voters look for when they're looking in candidates and evaluating the candidates, if someone's an incumbent, they look at their record and say, okay, this is what they did, maybe I want to keep them there. If someone's not an incumbent, they're looking at what about this person, what experience, what aspect of their life makes me want to say, yeah, that's what we need at the House of Representatives in Columbia. So could you give me some ideas, some specifics about what about you?
Well, I have a track record for working with both sides of the political spectrum. Historically, District 25 has been a Democratic district with representation. We do have Republican voters in the district, and their concerns need to be met as well. And I feel the best way to do that. That's one of the reasons why I'm running an independent candidate. My political philosophy has become more open-minded over the last 6 or 7 years, and particularly I see that there are some good values and good points on both sides of the political aisles, and Democrats and Republicans. I don't think it's wise for us to just continue to just punch a button just because that's where our parents and grandparents voted. I think we need to look at the issues, we need to look at the candidates, and we need to make informed decisions when we're voting. And since 1994, the state house has been ruled by the Republican Party, where Democratic representation hasn't been able to get much legislation passed when it's from a Democratic sponsor. Right. And so I feel as an independent candidate, I'll be able to work with both sides of the aisle to get everybody's voices heard, but also make the decisions that work best for everyone.
Okay. Let's look at this too. You are a pastor?
Yes, sir.
In the district?
No, I'm a pastor in District 23, but I live in District 25.
Okay. Yeah. Is your experience as a pastor, does that play into what would make you an effective representative?
Yes, because you see the pain that people experience from a ministry standpoint, but also as a citizen of Greenville County. We've had a series last year called Unseen Greenville that shed light on how poverty affects our community on multiple levels, not just our schools and our elderly, but it affects everybody who is in that community. And you don't hear a lot of progress or even see a lot of progress being made to do anything more than talk about it. So what I want to do is be able to sponsor some legislation that will bring 3 things. First, economic empowerment. Secondly, educational equality. And thirdly, environmental efficiency. We have a lot of waste in the district. People, just throwing trash out in the street. You could ride down Jacobs Road, for example, at any given time. You could see trash all over the side of the road. Even though there are people working to clean up the community each and every month, there needs to be some stricter, stronger penalties for littering, I believe, so that we can help have a community where people want to live, work, and play.
Okay, and I think you just transitioned us really good into my next question. The other thing I think voters look for is what the candidate's goal or priorities would be if they were sent to Columbia. So you kind of touched on it. Maybe you can expand on what your goals would be so the voter can say, yep, that's what we need in Columbia.
Right. Greenville, of course, is a huge economic driver for the state of South Carolina, but unfortunately, the wealth is not spread evenly across precincts, neighborhoods, communities, and where I see that as an opportunity is to challenge our employers to pay some living wages. It's 2016, we need to see more than $10 an hour jobs. that barely could feed one person, let alone a family of four.
Right.
Secondly, in terms of our education equality, we still have schools within the district, particularly, that have less than 80% graduation rates.
Oh, wow.
And certainly, particularly, we have 3 high schools, Carolina, Woodmont, and Berea, which is just on the head of the district, where the graduation rates need to improve. And they have improved, but you can't thrive in this economy in Greenville with just a high school diploma. You're going to need further education. Greenville Tech, our local community college, has an 8% graduation rate. So
I was not aware of that.
Yeah, so only 8% of their students graduate within 2 years. And one of the primary reasons for that is that students are coming from high school into their first year of technical college, having to take a year of remediation non-credit courses because they're not prepared to handle the coursework. So what does that mean for having a high school diploma? You've been accepted into college, but you don't have the skills to perform at a college level. So, we need equality. Is not just about funding. It's about providing the best quality of teaching and resources so that our students can perform and excel. And in terms of the environment, if you just take a ride down White Horse Road, and look to either side of the road, White Horse Road looks nothing like Woodruff Road.
No.
But they're both in Greenville. And one would ask the question, why? Why are the roads in such disrepair? Why are the communities, there's no signage to let you know which community you're entering? The landfill is in District 25, the twin chimneys down on 25. So it kind of has the reputation that, we are at the back of the line.
Right.
And so this campaign is about, bringing the people together, some 21,000 voters, and make history and get us to going out to the polls. Over the last 20 years, we've never had any more than 9,000 or 10,000 people go to vote, and that was only in 2008 with President Obama was running, where that was a historic turnout year. But in the last midterm election, we had fewer than 6,000 people vote in the district, which was less than a 34% turnout. So I believe that my candidacy can attract people who have never participated in local elections to come to the polls and say that they want 3 things. They want economic empowerment, they want educational equality, and thirdly, they want environmental efficiency.
Now, I've followed the political scene in South Carolina and in Greenville for probably close to 20 years now. And one thing that has saddened me is that District 25 and surrounding areas, Greenville has had a huge positive progress as a county and as a city. But District 25 seems to have missed the boat on that. And what I've noticed is we have had in leadership at all levels, from the State House to the county to the city, we have had folks in office who have been there for many, many, many years, and nothing has changed. And we've heard some of the same rhetoric. Going into election time, we have some of the candidates come out and tell what their plan is, and not saying that these elected officials haven't done anything.
Right.
But let me ask you. I was going to ask you one, but let me ask you a different question. Do you believe that the reason that we haven't had progress in the District 25 area is because the leadership hasn't been effective? Or that, and then maybe or that as a whole, the legislature and the county council kind of ignores this part of the community?
Well, I think the leadership has gotten the job done with the best help that they've had. I believe that the best way to get results is by convincing the people that there is a vision that can be followed and that they can be a part of. So much of what people have felt on an emotional level is that they felt excluded. So whatever progress is being made, they don't feel like they're a part of that progress.
Right.
And the numbers show that. I think that's the best way for people to look at it. If you go to scvotes.org and look at the voter participation history for the district, it's been pretty disappointing for quite a while. I think if people feel that they are a part of something that's progressive, something that is inclusive, and something that, particularly in my opinion, is nonpartisan. So in other words, if I'm not a Democrat, then will this Democratic leader hear my concerns about crime, my concerns about education, my concerns about the environment, or my concerns about veterans or health care? I am a firm believer that, you know, our version of politics in America is about giving people a voice. Even if we don't agree, we can, in America, we can agree to disagree. And I think so much of what people have felt is that they will be excluded in whatever progress has been made. So therefore, our leaders in the past have gotten limited results instead of optimal results. I think the best way to get results is to give people a chance to give their input, and you create a vision for change that includes that input, even if it's a different opinion of one's political philosophy or another. I think that's why 45% of the people in America don't identify with Republicans or Democrats.
Right.
And independent candidates are the trend of the future. We will be the standard within the next generation for bringing about change, because we're looking at collaboration and not looking at allowing the party history to think for us. And I think people are tired of that. They're tired of seeing, you know, people just always pushing the button and voting wherever the party goes. And what do they get in return for it? If someone who is a historic Democrat in 2016, they have to ask themselves a question: what have I gotten for always voting Democrat?
Right.
And I would ask that same question for Republicans. If I've historically been a Republican, what have I gotten for always voting Republicans? Remember, the Republicans are the ones that shut down the government.
Right.
Cost the nation another $4 billion or some uncalculated amount of money. President Clinton, when he was in his second term, of course, he received much criticism for the mass incarceration that we've seen over the last 15 years. So it's not a good idea, in my opinion, to always vote among party lines, because there's so many issues that are facing our country. And I think both parties have something to offer, Democrats and Republicans. And so therefore, in order to bring the change that District 25 needs, we need everyone, all 21,323 voters' input.
So it sounds to me like you're, and correct me if I'm characterizing this incorrectly, but you're more interested in getting specific things done than making sure a particular party succeeds.
Absolutely. I think when you think from a win-win standpoint, what's best for everyone that's in the district and not just for a particular party, I think we give people the opportunity to feel like they are valued, feel that their voice has been heard, and feel like that they can be a part of the change instead of the change taking place and then only a certain group of people getting credit for it. That's, in my opinion, that's full exclusion. And I think in order to bring about change, we have to be open-minded, we have to be inclusive, and not brag on what our personal track record is, but let's brag on what we can achieve by working together.
So I guess what you want the focus to be on is results.
Exactly, results-driven campaign. It's about being a part of a vision, something that's bigger than one person, and seeing that everyone in the district can take ownership, that we see better roads, we see better schools, we can see the possibility of going to work and earning a decent living because businesses are here. We're not in a rural setting. We're in the 85 corridor, right. The heart of the upstate, and there should be no reason why 25% of our African American community in District 25 doesn't have a high school diploma. There should be a reason why you have school districts or schools within the district that have 70 and 80% poverty index. 1 in 5 people in District 25 live in poverty.
Wow.
And so we want to be a part of not only just talking about change, but calling upon businesses to help create jobs and opportunities for people to earn a decent living so that they can support themselves and their family. I don't think that's too radical a thing to ask for, but I think we can do a better job if we show that the results have already been provided. I have, for the last 3 years, led the Black Male Unemployment Forum, which people can go online and look at Olive Branch Forum on YouTube. And what we do is we target two things. We target ex-offenders who have had difficulty finding jobs and getting them back into the workforce. And then secondly, we also look at the economic justice piece, where there's a wage gap in America, but there's a wage gap in Greenville. When you look at the types of jobs that are available versus the number of people being filled in those jobs, there's something really wrong going on called employment discrimination. Now, we don't have any state legislation on it, but nationally in 2014, the U.S. Congress proposed a bill called the Fair Employment Opportunity Act, but that bill died.
Right.
What I would like to do is take that same legislation and customize it to address the issue and the problem in South Carolina with people simply not being hired because they don't have a job.
Oh, that doesn't make much sense to me.
It doesn't make sense at all. And the reality is, national legislators were afraid of it because they felt like it was tying the employer's hands and it was telling the employer that they had to hire someone, as opposed to I'm approaching it from a making good business sense. If you got a warehouse, you need material handlers, you need inspectors, and you got boxes stacked up a mile high, and you got 10 people applying for a job and 9 of them don't have a job currently, are you not going to hire the 9 people because they're not working? And employers have gone on record to say to GADC particularly that they're not interested in anyone who is not currently working. I just had a meeting with one of the representatives from GADC about 3 weeks ago, and we discovered this huge problem in that meeting, that employers are not hiring persons who are not currently working. So you're talking about roughly 35% of America who is currently seeking jobs. The probability that they're going to find a job is going to be very difficult with that practice being in place. I think it's unfair. I think it's unjust. I think that everyone who is willing to work and is qualified to work should receive that opportunity to work.
Absolutely. All right, so how do people get a hold of you, get in touch with you? Do you have a website, all the .com, all the information?
Our website will be TonyBoyceIsOurChoice.com, and the number to reach me on will be 864-684-0825. But we're running for South Carolina House District 25, November 8th, 2016 as an independent candidate, and I need their support, I need their vote, and most importantly, I need to know what they think can be done, because it's about what the people want and not necessarily what one individual wants.
That's fantastic. Thanks for joining us today.
Enjoyed it. Thank you for the opportunity.
Folks, this has been another in our series, the 2016 Candidate Spotlight Series. Also, don't forget the Candidate Forum, the Know, Then Vote Candidate Forum on May 23rd at the Hughes Library from 5:30 to 8 p.m. All right? Until we get together again, get out in your community and make a difference.